Do I make?
but it's turned into something else.
Yeah, it's turned into. I guess it's turned into an omelet.
Yeah, so I like to use the table or the desk as an example, right? So the desk wasn't a desk before it was a tree, right? It was a tree first, then you had to destroy the tree to turn it into a table, right?
So the
So
rocks used
same.
to be dead bodies, and now they're rocks.
Well, no. So the rocks used to be alive, and then there was some kind of process that happened, and now they're dead. Now they're petrified dead bodies.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think you and I probably can't agree on much. So good luck with
And
that.
that's okay. I mean, I really don't want to convince you of anything, anyways, because I really don't like people who you have to explain a lot to, and then when you explain it, they still like refuse to understand it. So it's good that you told me that you're a person who doesn't want to learn.
I didn't say that. You said that.
Well, yeah, you did say that. You just
I
don't
think
know
you're a
it.
person that doesn't want to learn.
Well, teach me something.
Okay, Earth is a globe, and rocks weren't like big giant people walking around.
Okay, so you made a claim and then you stated a negative. So prove your claim. You can't even follow.
No, I'm just like
You don't even
thinking
know what you're
about.
doing, man. You
No,
don't know what
I
you're doing,
do.
do you?
No, it. I mean, if you want to believe
What
that
claim and
all
say
the
what was the
rocks in the
negative?
world were once big giant rock men walking around, like knock yourself out.
Yeah, but you just made a negative about it.
I don't think I made a negative about it.
Yeah, you just said nuh-uh. You said Earth is a ball, and nuh-uh.
Yeah, nah, the rocks weren't big
Yeah, nuh-uh.
giant rock men walking around. Yeah, I definitely said nah to that.
Now,
That's
do you
like
think that's
that's a
a
certifiable crazy belief.
yeah? But do you think that's a proper way to behave towards like something? You know, someone says something, you're just like, nah.
I mean, if it's that crazy, then I think it's probably okay.
Wouldn't it be better to like look into it and then like disprove it? You know, wouldn't that be more sane? Right? Someone makes a claim, then you just go look into it, and then you can be like, well, no, you're retarded because I looked into it and it doesn't make sense. Like none of it adds up.
Yeah, I just looked into it and it makes no sense.
Oh, really? So what did you look at?
I
Did you
just
Google it?
Googled were
You
rocks
Googled it.
once giant walking creatures that became petrified, and it said no, they aren't.
Yeah. So I want you to Google just say, am I stupid into Google?
Okay, 1 second.
Well, did it tell you you're stupid or what?
No, it didn't.
Well, what did it say when you asked it? Are you stupid? Say, am I stupid? What did it say?
It like rattled off a bunch of stuff about mental feelings. But do you want
Wait,
me to
so
ask it about the rocks? You want me to tell you what it says about rocks?
well, no, I don't care because it's not going to give you the right answer. Did it give you the right answer in regards to whether or not you're stupid?
It didn't. It didn't answer the question.
Yeah, okay, so it's not going to answer the other question either. See how it
I'm
works?
pretty sure it'll answer the other question.
No, it won't. It doesn't work that way. Google doesn't really answer questions.
No, it definitely answers questions. We can
No,
try
because
Chat
you asked
GPT.
it, you said, am I stupid? But it didn't give you a clear answer, which indicates that it doesn't give you answers.
So you think because it doesn't give you one answer, it doesn't give you it never gives you answers?
Right. The only thing it does is it searches
I think that's a
all the
logical
information.
fallacy.
Right. The only thing it does is it searches all of the available information and it gives you the most popular. That's what Google does. So when you ask it a question, it's not a real person. So when you ask it for answers, it's not going to give you a real answer.
I think it gives good answers.
No, it doesn't because there's no answers on the internet.
Well, we're on the internet. Where did you find your answers? Find out like
Uh,
looking on BitChute or what?
no, I just looked at the world. The answers are everywhere.
So you just looked at the rocks and then you just knew that they were once giant walking beings that were then petrified.
Well, actually, yeah. So you can actually see the dead bodies if you go look.
Where did you see him when you went there?
Well, you got to go look. See, this is a thing. So you're a person who
How do you
doesn't
tell
want
the
to
difference
learn.
between
I don't
something
know
that
that.
looks like a body and just like a rock that is a rock that looks like a body?
Well, I mean, if you want to think that everything is a coincidence, that's great.
Well, yeah, I think there's rocks that look like things. Like when I was young, we'd go driving and there was a rock that looked like the head of a bear. Do you think that was actually the head of a bear?
I mean, I don't know. I didn't see it. Couldn't tell you.
Do you think
I
maybe
know
it
what
was
I'm
like an
looking
old
at
head of
though.
a
Yeah.
bear that became petrified and was sitting there on the side of the highway?
I mean, it's a possibility. Like I said, I didn't see it, but when I look at these things, I know what I'm looking at. So I can't say what you were looking at.
I was looking at a rock that looked like a bear.
Yeah, okay, but I didn't see it, so you could just say that.
Okay, I mean that's what it was. Like when you
Yeah, but
see a
that's just
cactus or
hearsay.
a tree, do
Listen,
you
that
do you think like maybe that's not actually a tree? It's something different.
no. When I see a cactus, it's a cactus. But what I'm
How do
saying
you how
is,
do you know?
listen, listen, I can't go off of what you're saying because that's hearsay.
Okay, what you're saying is hearsay.
Well, yeah, and but I'm not also trying to convince you of anything either.
Well,
What
I
happened
saw
to
a
data?
tree that looked like a big spider. Do you think that maybe that tree actually is a spider?
I mean, probably not. It's a tree.
Yeah, but it could be a spider. It just looks like a tree.
I mean, if that's what you want to think, go ahead, I guess.
Okay.
I quite like your opinion about cells are all parasites. So it looks like they're having sex.
Well, are you referring to the other day when I was talking about Taylor's
Yeah. To
little?
her slides
Yeah.
and stuff. Yep. Yeah, that was classic. Because like no one ever really got it. Even Rixie was like, maybe cells are actually just parasites.
Yeah, I mean, it probably is.
It's a good thought to entertain really because like you're made up of wiggly like entities like parasites pretty much.
Well, see, okay,
Zach in the house.
I was thinking about this. Okay, so are okay, so we're all made of like cells, according to biology or whatever. Now, is is every cell the same size in every being, regardless of the size? So, like, does a whale have the same size cells as an ant? I mean,
Probably do, right? I think they like probably on the same scale, like the same physical scale in this realm. So all cells of living creatures should be the same size, yeah?
It's on a one size fits all basis.
but that doesn't make any sense because, like, okay, so if
Made in
the
China.
yeah, but if they claim that like ostrich eggs or just eggs in generals are supposed to be classified as a cell, then that automatically means that cell. I mean, that cell is already bigger than an ant, so clearly not all cells are the same size. So it's like it's really confusing.
Well, they're wrong about the egg then, aren't they? Because it's obviously not a cell, it's obviously an egg.
Yeah, but I understand that, right? But I want to understand how they, what do you call that? How they reconcile that, or how would they reconcile that? Is there anyone in here who believes in cells? How would you reconcile that? That the ostrich egg is the largest cell or whatever, but ants are also made of cells. So, but they're all supposed to be the same size.
Well, actually, I don't know if it's true that they're supposed to be the same size. I mean, does anyone have some evidence for that? Like, What's the scientific community say about that?
Well, yeah, that's kind of why I was asking because I was thinking about it, right? The whale and an ant, right? So if they have the same size cells, right? So it only makes sense if their cells are the exact same size because if you cut open a whale, you don't see cells. Just like, I mean, you're not going to see cells in an ant either. So really, it just either cells are real or they're not. That's basically what it is. Because with the whale would clearly have to have bigger cells than the ant. Clearly,
So the microscope has vector calculus fraction.
You're breaking up, dude.
Okay.
Stick your tongue
Why
out.
sh- why shouldn't why should an ant have smaller cells than whales? Why not just less?
less cells.
Less
I mean,
cells.
it's really weird because I think an ant is actually more complex than a whale.
Absolutely not.
I mean, a whale is just kind of like a big blob with organs in it, you know. An ant has like legs, antenna, eyes. It has, you know, pheromones. It has senses. I mean, these things they're crazy looking. A whale, like I said, a whale is just like a blob with organs that floats in the water.
What kind of organs did the rock people have? Have we like cut open the rocks to see what the organs were?
Well, I mean, I can show you some organs, but again, kind of a waste of time.
I think they were just buildings, not actually dead bodies. I think the whole Earth was covered in buildings, like literally every square inch.
Yeah, but what was it made out of? Again, we go back to the desk. You know, the desk is clearly made out of something that existed before.
It was
So,
made out of clay.
yeah, but where'd the clay come from? You can't just say that the clay came out of nowhere because then you're falling into the globalist mindset.
I don't see how those two things compute.
Because the globe postulates that everything came from nothing. So you can't just say that it's clay because then you don't have a source.
Yeah, but everything decomposes, right?
No.
Do you mean
So
everything faces entropy?
no. So things are either destroyed or eaten. There is no natural decay.
What about oxidization? Rusting.
Yeah. So that's a form of destruction.
It's not decay. You just invoke decay. That's a form of decay, is it not?
No, it's something else acting upon the thing. The idea of decay is that it like there's some kind of like natural degradation to things. Like when the human body stops operating, it's just going to naturally decompose into something else. But it's not unless something is actually eating it that it breaks down.
Define eating.
What
Well,
about when
so
you lose, when you try to lose weight too fast, you lose too much muscle? What about the loss of that muscle mass? Is that like some enzyme chewing that away?
loss of muscle. Well, no. So if you're losing weight rapidly, if you're losing muscle mass, it's probably because you're eating incorrectly. So your body has to pull from reserves in your body. So your body is naturally not going to let you die. So if you have muscle, fat, you know, bone, whatever, it's going to use that stuff if you're not eating that stuff. So if you don't eat that stuff, your body will use that stuff.
But like it will eat that stuff because you said it has to be eating it, right?
Wait, what?
That's what you
That things
said,
can't
guy.
decay; they have to be eaten by something else.
Right. Yeah. Things don't just naturally decay, they have to be eaten.
So your body eats other parts of the body.
Well, the body is designed in a way to use what it has. So it's just like the bear. The bear puts on fat before it goes to sleep over the winter, and all winter, its body uses the stored fat. Your body operates the same way. So if you have muscle and fat on you, but if you're not eating these things, so if you don't eat meat, your body's going to eat you essentially. It will use its stores to live.
Yeah, but you didn't say use
You mean,
before.
you mean
You said
burns energy. It doesn't eat, it burns energy. It consumes the
however you want to
process.
say it, whatever.
That's what I mean. Define eating. So when you say eating, you have to be more specific. You can't just use, say the word eating like it's, just a catch-all, because it's not.
Oh yeah. Well, sorry if I'm not totally clear for you, but you got it.
It's not about me being clear. It's about you being clear in your
Yeah,
approach.
like I said, sorry for not being clear, but you got it.
So it's
even
not
though
eating.
I cannot be clear,
It's not
you got
eating.
it.
It's not eating, but it's consuming. It's burning energy. It's not eating. It's burning energy.
Yeah, do you see how you're able to figure it out even though I wasn't clear?
So when metal rusts, is it burning energy?
So it's another thing acting upon the metal. So typically it's what, water?
Is it eating it? Is it burning it? What's it doing to metal? When things oxidize and creates
yeah.
it's facing entropy. And when it faces entropy, what's it doing? Is it burning, eating, consuming? What's it doing? Because it's decaying.
So in certain circles, some might speak about the metal being eaten by the water. Yes, in some circles they may speak that way. So people use different words,
Just
right?
talk
under
like
different
you, what way
circumstances.
you would describe it.
Well, I am. I'm talking like
Are
me.
you the person in the circle that you're saying talks that
Clearly
way?
not. No, I'm just saying it as I see it, right? If you understand what I'm saying, great. If I have to clarify for you, well, maybe we'll clarify. But when we clarify,
because
there's no point in harping.
you're using a catch-all. Does water eat steel?
Right.
Is that what you're saying? Water
Right, so
eats
once
steel.
once it's clarified though, there's no point in harping. That's what women do.
Women keep bringing up the same conversation over and over again, like they know what they're talking about. That's what you continuously do. You bring up a conversation over and over again, like you know what you're talking about, and then you say it's a circle. It's your circle of friends. It's your circle.
No, I said in some circles. So there's like professional circles, like welders speak a certain way about metals, chemists speak a certain way about metals. They use different terminology, even though they're talking about the same thing and the same.
They don't use eating. They don't use eating.
I mean, welders might.
They don't use the word eating, dude.
Because welders, right? They don't talk about things in a technical term. They would say, "Oh yeah, it looks like the water's eating the metal." I mean, I've talked to welders. They're typically not the smartest people.
Really now, there's a preconceived. Really. I highly doubt that, buddy. I got a.
Yeah, I'm gonna doubt that. Also.
I've got a buddy of mine who's a Red Seal welder, and he's one of the smartest people I've ever met. So you don't know what the fuck you're talking.
Oh, really? He can weld, right? He knows a lot about metal, huh?
He built his own fucking house, dude. You didn't do shit with your life.
Wait, do you think building a house is difficult?
Building your own house is definitely a challenge. Did I say it's difficult? It's a challenge for sure.
Well, you're making it out to be. I mean, I'm Mexican.
Did you build your own house?
It's more difficult than you.
Again, I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican. It's in our blood. We build houses.
You built a shanty. You built a shanty, you fucker. You built a shanty, not a house.
Actually, wooden brick.
How many square feet was it?
I don't know, man. I did a lot. I also know how to fix appliances. Do you?
So I can fix some things. I'm not that good at it, though. So I've never heard anybody say, "Hey, look, it looks like the water's eating that metal."
Never. Oxidization is the key word.
Or rust.
I've heard of some people saying, "Man, that rust is really eating away at their car door."
Yeah, but the rust
no, you
isn't
haven't.
What's actually eating it.
Yes, you have. I've heard that.
No, you've never heard that. I've never heard that.
I have.
100%.
People say, "Wow, that girl's really skinny. She's just like withering away. It looks like her body's eating itself."
No, I've never heard that. You're making stuff up, man.
No, I'm not.
No, man. People don't talk like that. They just don't talk like that.
Yeah, they do.
Talking and knowing what you're talking about are probably two different things, right, guy?
You should try it.
So if your body eats the like fat stores and you don't believe in cells, so do you think there's like little mouths in there that like come from one part of the body and they like gobble
Here
on
we
the
go.
fat? Or how does it go? How
Harping.
does that work?
Harping.
He's a Mexican, right? He's got it all figured out.
Yeah. Make the conversation worth recording. That's what I say. I quite appreciate what New Perspective does with some of the conversations from this channel, and he clips really good ones and he puts them up on his channel for people to see when there's sometimes you come on here and there's no one here, but you just really want to listen to some good conversation. That's when you go to New Perspectives channel.
What happened to the clown show excerpts there, where that channel used to take all the excerpts of, Rumpus and Josue, Quantum Eraser, Nathan Oakley. He used to put that channel. Whatever happened to that channel?
I never went there. Don't know.
That was pretty funny. The beginning stages with the penguin guy.
You're talking about Tim Osmond?
Tim Osmond. And then the other guy too, Tim, the other Tim. There's two Tims.
Two Tim Osmonds, yeah. The what do you call that? IPS. Yeah, there's been a lot of strange characters coming and going over the years since 2015 or even earlier.
How did Nate? Sorry, go ahead.
Some of them have lasted the test of time.
How did Nathan Oakley deal with the 24-hour video in Antarctica?
He didn't deal with it at all. He just keeps insisting that the Earth is measured flat and it's on auto repeat.
So I asked him, I recorded it in the book, I asked him what his response was, and he told me.
His dual pole plotting of everything. I'll send you the DMs right now.
Well, here's the issue. You have to have a polar point position, a subposition, and then you go outwardly from that position. Polaris has always been that position in the north, and the Southern Cross has always been the position in the south. So magnetically, they don't align. Coordinates with like a mathematical system doesn't match with the magnetic system. I'm asking if there's been ever any map based on the magnetic system, and I've never seen that. I've always seen a geographic map based on physical coordinates from a polar position, and then the magnetic interference that comes along with, having longitude and latitude lines on a magnetic system.
Well, the magnetics, the compass will be like a pole. The compass always points north. Anything away from north is south, just like an AE map. But there's an actual south.
But it's not. Listen. Even those magnetic applied to the map, because the maps don't match the magnetic flows. What I'm trying to say to you. Yeah, but that's why magnetic declination exists. But I'm just saying, if you were to make a map based on the magnetic fluxes, in other words, you'd have to change the map every other year, or every 10 years, or every 5 years, due to the fact that the magnetic flux changes.
Oh, so I don't know where you get the idea. The map's not made from the magnetic fluxes.
No, it's made from the polar position and apparently the North Pole, or the Southern Cross. You have got three positions in the South Pole. You've got a ceremonial South Pole, a geographic South Pole, and then you've got the actual magnetic South Pole, which is the opposite of the North Pole.
Yeah, he did his map based on the GPs of the stars.
Okay.
Oh, my headset cut out. Did you hear what I said? He did his map based on the GPs of the stars and the sun.
Okay, so what stars, though? Do you know what stars?
The ones that they use for navigation that are on the Weems and Plath official star wheels. You know, the ones that they use for navigation that are on the Weems and Plath official Star Wheels. You know about Weems and Plath? You should just watch the
No,
videos instead of having me try to explain it bit by bit to you, and then have you try to argue each point as if you already know what
I've literally,
You should just watch the videos, check them out.
I literally gone through it all, brother. There's nothing new.
I know
There's
you know it all, Dana. We all know you know it all. There's nothing new. We figured it out. There's nothing.
Well, the one thing that Antonio Subarat said to me that haunts me to this day, that I wasn't smart enough to figure out the opposite polar rotations on a flat Earth.
He's figured it all out. He wrote a whole book on it.
The polar rotations on a planar system. And if anybody thinks that they're smart enough to do it, they're full of shit.
Did I cut out or is he?
No, but your mic is shit right now, so.
Whatever it is, man does not have the.
No.
So that's what they say it is. Everything is a sphere, or everything's flat. They know the model, this and that. It's all bullshit. They do not.
Yeah. Well, that's ridiculous. You're right. The ball's not. We're definitely not on a ball. We agree on that.
There's nothing inherently wrong with a sphere. It is a conclusion if you map out the celestial bodies in one manner. No, you live in a realm that where one reality is presented, but two outcomes exist, which makes
you think a paradox is just like a true paradox going on?
I've already called it a paradox from day one. Well, maybe 4 years in, I started calling it a paradox.
I understand there might be a paradoxical dilemma with, the way it seems and the way it might actually be, but you don't think that we live within like a contradiction, like a real contradiction.
That's what a paradox would be, is that if the world presented...
Well, no, a paradox is, it's more philosophical, but you don't think that it could actually be two different ways at once, right?
If it's a pole, if it's a polar system with two different poles, which is man's made interpretation of a sphere, you have to have two poles at it. It comes with an ideology and a belief system, which is originated in Pythagorean or heliocentrism or Aristarchus. So if you go back to 3,000 years ago, 2,800 years ago, when the argument came up between the Platonists and the Hellenists, you have to understand that philosophically, understanding your reality comes from the mind itself. And the concept of a sphere isn't inherently wrong. It's just an observation of how do you make things work. If you're presented one situation and the conclusion is easier resolved in one manner than versus the other, you end up taking on the best philosophy that's the easiest to resolve. But in doing so, you must leave outside of the mind, you have to live inside the mind to be outside of it for a sphere. So in other words, you have to actually believe you live on a ball inside the mind, because you can never, ever go outside of the reference frame to prove that to be true. You only have a certain set of systems that corroborate that philosophy, which is the polar rotations.
Yeah, see, I wasn't sure if you actually thought that was the case, or you're just trying to be annoying with having like it's a sphere and it's flat at the same time. But I'm saying it's a flat globe, and that's because it actually is a flat globe with two poles, right? No globe, no ball, just two poles, two star rotations, just like we observe. He laid it all out just by using the nautical almanac. So it's not like he made up a thing that fits his concept. He's just plotting the information he found.
Sure,
you can look it up if you want.
I have the nautical almanac.
No, you haven't. You've looked at other stuff, but not what I'm about to show you.
Yes, it's not new, is what I'm trying to tell you.
You're assuming something, which is going to make me leave because you just don't know. You just assume you know it all, and it's lame, dude. Why don't you play us a song? You got your guitar there? Why don't you play us a song? I'd rather hear you play a song and sing than just say you know it all before you actually know anything. You're just assuming and saying, I know everything that could exist. There couldn't be anybody that comes up with anything I didn't already figure out or discard. It couldn't be anybody smarter than me.
It's not anything that I figured out. It's not that anything I figured out. Somebody else figured it out before me. The boob Earth is not new. The two polar opposite rotations on a planar system has already been discussed.
Nobody's saying that's new. You got the wrong impression. If somebody said it's all new and nobody's ever thought of it, then you got the wrong impression.
No, I'm just trying to reiterate that's the case. Not that I'm smarter, because I'm not. In fact, the more I learn, the stupider I get.
Yeah. E1, the guy that was just in here the other night talking about it, he said, yeah, this is nothing I came up with. This is just what the data shows, that it has to work this way if we know we're on a stationary plane. But it's not a globe, literally, as well as flat, literally. It can't be both. You know that.
Well, this is what I came up with, a saying that irritates both sides, which is it's flat everywhere because it's a giant sphere, or it's a giant sphere because it's flat everywhere.
Yeah, it seemed intentional on your part to like troll everybody with that, or at least it worked that way.
It's not that I'm trolling; it's just an actual true statement, right?
Well, it can't be true, right? Which is why it's annoying.
You can't have both simultaneously exist true unless we live in a realm.
Oh, okay. You think it's magic, like literally magic being both ways at once? I don't even know how that would work with magic. I don't even know how magic works.
Well, it's a miracle, isn't it, that we're here to begin with? It's a miracle that things are the way they are to sustain life the way it is. I would look at it as being a miracle, essentially, not magic.
That's kind of like Arwen with his Pac-Manning. He likes the dual pole idea, but he's like, well, magic, magic exists. Why not have a Pac-Man thing where you just render yourself to the other side so it'll all work out?
It talks about portals in the Bible. In the Quran, it talks about the sun. In the Quran, it talks about the sun entering going down and entering in the mud pit or something and coming out the other side.
I know it talks about that, but I don't think that's necessary. Neither is Pac-Man. But you're not going to look at it anyway, so you'll never find out. You'll never know. You'll just assume you know. You'll assume nobody else knows.
It's not new, guy.
I'm not trying to say it was new. I already said that. It's not new. But it actually shows how it would work, and you think it doesn't. So you could learn something.
The only way that it would work is if there was an infinity path. That's it. In other words, a figure 8. That's it.
Exactly.
You're
right about that. That's the way it works.
But I've already done the model. I've already done the model for that years ago.
See? You're proving to everybody that everything I just said about you is I've done it already, and nobody else could come up with something I didn't already figure out or know how it was. And there's no reason to look at anything new because I'm flattered data. I'm so high on myself that there's nothing new to me ever.
It's nothing to do with high. I just tested the claims and I held fast, which is what is true. This is what a Bible quote states. Test all claims.
Well, that's all that my friend's saying, right? So you came up with something different than he did, and you guys should, talk it out at some point, maybe. Or you should look at what he says and then maybe have a report. But you're not going to do that because you've already discarded it. Nobody could know it. You've already gone to the extent that anyone could go to because you're flat Earth data and you wrote a book on the flat globe. That's literally both ways.
It's a paradox at the end of the day, yeah.
That's fine. I don't mind if you think that for real, but it's not very impressive or enticing because we know it can't be that.
I didn't invent the argument. I didn't invent the argument or the situation. All I did is went through the process. I looked at the information from right from the source. Actually, the person who built the globe, which is Ptolemy. I looked at his data through the Alchemist. I looked at the sun calculator. I looked at all of that data. I went 7 years researching every day that data. And I tried to model it in Blender. I did the globe Earth. I did all it. I can prove the globe Earth is wrong and I can prove the flat Earth is wrong because not all the data is correct. So when you can prove both models incorrect, it only leads you to one conclusion, that they can't encompass the whole entire Earth and that what we believe we live on, we still don't know.
Oh yeah, there's lots we don't know. There's probably a lot more land around the area that we're told about and everything. Yeah, so that's not all necessarily found out, you can speculate about all that. But it seems like we live underneath a double electromagnetic field, and we have a magnetic field where our compass reads on Earth. And it's like at least his idea is that it's a double toroid magnetic field, and then it's a doubled electromagnetic field on top of that where the stars run on, and that's what they use to like actually deploy real satellites. And he's got like some night vision camera footage of real satellites, and he knows all the stars better than anyone I've talked to, including you. And you probably remember him. You might have talked to him. I think you came in and were trying to like convert us to Christianity the first time I met you, and I think he was in that chat.
Well, there's a reason why Christianity spread, right?
I don't know. What do you think the reason is?
12 people, apostles dying for a lie. Seems highly improbable, guy.
Why did Islam spread?
It's a very good question as well. Probably by force, just like how the Crusades did a little bit by force.
I mean, you can kind of say the same thing about Christianity. Maybe
I just told you Crusades and versus the Caliphate. They both spread by force. In fact, when you read the history, a lot of people avoided being killed by the Crusades by imitating the in the name of the Father and the Son, the cross, right?
So it kind of defeats your point that it spread because it's right. Like at least
I'm just trying to say that probably if you look at the fantastical story between 12 apostles being crucified for a lie, it seems highly improbable. But like I stated before, you probably wouldn't be skinned alive if it was a lie. You probably would have confessed, I didn't see this man die. I didn't see him resurrect. It's a lie. But these men didn't do that. And this is something that's documented historically and agreed upon by many scholars. Now, if you look at the Crusades, they apparently they say they justify their actions because of all the Christian countries that were invaded by Islam. They took over Syria, they took over Yemen, all these other countries, whatever, even Jerusalem at this point. While the Crusades went in and they got rid of it. That's the art. That's this from the 15s to 1600s. That's what the story is, right?
I mean, I don't really want to get into Christianity debate or conversation. I'd rather stick to dual pole. I like hearing that. What's your issue? Is magnetic declination is the issue? Your primary one?
I think a map based on magnetic flow would be a better map to have rather than a coordinate system based on a numeric value. So if you take a 24,901 radius and you have to divide that in two, you've got a distance of 10,500 kilometers from the equator to the North Pole, and then a shorter distance, or I can't remember, that's been a while now, but from South Pole, geographic, let's say, which is another, again, a mathematical polar position rather than a subposition due to the Southern Cross. You've got two different lengths between the equator to the north and the south. Well, if that's a geometric position based on a numeric value, great. But you're suggesting that you understand the full capacity of the sun, the size of the earth, based on a numeric value from the polar position that you've chosen. And in doing so, now you navigate that based on a polar position, whether south or north, but you find as you move along the center of the earth, or the earth, you move along it, you can't follow the trajectory that the map points out correctly because the compass changes, changes its orientation, and therefore it doesn't lead you to the position you need to go to on the map. So you need to correct for that. So I find it highly interesting that they've chosen a polar position based on a numeric value as opposing to a magnetic value and then drawn a line from the magnetic position to the other. Let's see, if you had two positions and you have drawn a magnetic line between the two, between two locations, and had it mapped out magnetically, you wouldn't have a map to correct for based on magnetic declination because the map would already be built based on the magnetic flow. So I've never seen that. So if you want to see something original, let's people build a map on magnetic flow rather than a geographic position like Buddy has done with the subpolar point in Egypt. It's still from a numeric value with a polar position and then drawing out from a certain size, creating a circumference and therefore a radius. How about we just focus on magnetic flow, pick a position, map it out magnetically, and see where it goes.
E1 got into magnetic declination the other night, didn't he? Whenever we can get him in here, I'd like to see y'all you two converse? Let's see.
The problem is the Earth is so massive that you would need an army or a fleet of men of probably 1,000 to do the task of what one man attempts to do. And you need at least 1,000 men, if not more.
I apologize for interrupting the conversation, but just joined in. What task would require 1,000 people to do?
To map out the Earth magnetically, as opposing to picking a subpolar point position and moving outward from it, creating coordinate systems like longitude and latitude. Why 1,000 men? Probably because simultaneously to report each single event between points of location, to then map out the distance between the two via magnetic. So if you were to navigate between 2 points, you would log the data, which direction you were going. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming, man. The point is to negate magnetic declination for every map. In other words, you do not have to correct for your coordinate system based on the magnetic flow because you're already navigating inside the magnetic flow. Does anybody follow what I'm putting down?
Sort of like buoys in a sense, but then again, I joined in very, very late. All
maps are geographic in a sense that true north is based on the polar position mathematically. And that you have, or geographic, if you will, and then you actually have a magnetic north. This is why you have to offset in navigation the correction for the magnetic flow on a geographic map. Now, the issue with that is why they did it is because the magnetic shift changes. So it'd be very difficult to always having to update your maps rather than just correct for the magnetic flow change. Right? So I'm just saying that, isn't it interesting that maybe we should just create a map based on magnetic flow and see where that takes us as far as shape and size goes versus then an assumption or an assumptive position, polar point, and then a mathematical deduction based on a certain circumference or a radius size to create longitude and latitude. Because all GPS has a correction. All coordinate systems have a correction. All maps have a correction. In fact, if you go look online and you use 5 different maps and you pick 2 points between those 2 points, they're never going to give you the exact distance between those 2 points. They're always off by 50 miles, 10 miles, 8 miles, 100 miles. They're all going to be inconsistent, especially over the longer the distance.
Yeah, my understanding is like if he was trying to circumnavigate using the stars, I mean, like if you used an astrolabe, like would he have to worry about magnetism at all?
Quite interesting you mentioned an astrolabe. Apparently the astrolabe was used in mapping out Baghdad, and it was 98% accurate according to the GPS coordinates that they have today. And that's using a stereographic projection and putting it on a mater, a 2D surface from a 3D stereographic projection on a 2D planar system. Interesting how they did that.
Yeah, but you kind of ignored my question. Like, I mean, if you're just using the astrolabe to circumnavigate or whatever, or, travel, you don't need a compass, right? So, like, why do the magnetic fields matter at all? Like, magnetic declination in general.
Very true, because you're using the stars in this particular case. So you're not relying on a map. You're actually just using. The mater still has a. The mater on a astrolabe still has a polar position. It still has a position on it. It still is a quantification of a mathematical system.
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with the magnetic north. It's using only Polaris as its point, right? So it's not relevant.
It's been a long time since I've actually dived down the astrolabe and its use. I'm not certain if it does entirely rely on Polaris in totality. I think it has more than just Polaris, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it also uses like the sun and the moon and other stars, but like, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't need to use a compass for an astrolabe.
Maps, when you're using a map, it has basically a form of a mater on that. Like the astrolabe, there is a 2D system.
So you're conceding that like magnetic declination is irrelevant if you're using the astrolabe and using.
Well, I didn't invoke the astrolabe. I was just talking about having a map based on magnetic declination. You're using the astrolabe based on Polaris and other planets. I'm not saying that you needed to use that particular tool because of magnetism, but in its operation, it takes a stereographic projection, which is a spherical body, and they project it on a 2D mater. Do you understand that about the astrolabe?
No, I'm not pretending to. I have to understand the astrolabe better. I was just trying to counter your point earlier about magnetic.
But you didn't counter my point. What you've done is opened up an issue because it takes a 3D spherical object and it puts it on a 2D system. That's what the astrolabe does. It's called stereographic projections. I can't believe Zanuck hasn't spoken to me once.
Hey, Data, you know how to check your DMs in Discord, right?
I've seen it. I've seen it, brother. You just showed me the boo birth again with
Yeah,
with
you're right, man. I'm all about that. But yeah, you got all the DMs, the information's there if you want it. Otherwise,
I already seen it before, brother. It's nothing new. I'm not trying to be arrogant or know it all. I'm telling you, I've seen it already. It's not new. So it's a dipole. It's a two opposing magnetic systems over a planar system. But here's the issue: is you can take any program and make two circles, and you can have them going in different directions. But here's the issue: you would need double of them, or you'd have to have an infinity symbol. I've done everything I can to try to model it, even with what's his pickle, the guy there that went to the school, you know, and all the kids, the Earth's flat. He did. So they used to take a circle and they would throw a lens over top of it, like a spherical lens, and it would appear that it would go in the opposite direction. But here's the issue: if you did that and you had something move along a circular path, the only way to observe it appearing going in the other direction was to be an opposition of it or upside down. You could mimic the look through the glass, but if you ran a solid object through it, it would still follow the one path. So that was the issue, is to have opposing bodies and opposing rotations, you would have to be in opposition to it. Now, you could be outside the circle or inside the circle, but you'd still need to create a figure eight if that was true.
Yo, can you try to explain to me again what the issue is? I'm trying to understand, so that's why I haven't been replying.
Issue with the astrolabe, talking about stereographic
Yeah,
projection.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, what is stereographic projection then?
I mean, it's projecting a sphere onto a plane, right?
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, but that doesn't help me. I'm not getting your point. I'm not trying to like fight you on this. I'm literally just saying I don't understand.
So everything requires a center position that you measure outward from, right? If you were going to navigate on a system, you'd have to create a numeric value and then divide it in sections. You'd have you have an SI system. It would be miles, kilometers, nautical miles, but essentially it would run into the same thing. It would be just a way to express the distance from one point to another.
Yeah, but why is that a problem for the dual pole? That's what I don't understand.
Okay, so you have to assess that to see an object go in opposing rotations. What system would that work on?
Yeah, so so the astrolabe would have two sides. One around the North Pole, like one where it's mapped around the North Pole, and then once you pass the equator, then it's mapped around the South Pole.
Is Mexico? Well, look, you still have to have a point of view to see it go. You're either inside the circle or outside the circle, right? Do you understand what I mean by that? If you're inside the north, it's going to go in one direction, and if you step outside of the north circle, now you're on the other side of the rotation. It's going to appear to go in another way, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, how does that happen on the boob earth unless you have a figure eight or like what they like to call it is a caustic cup effect? Have you heard of that?
Hold on, I've heard about it. I couldn't put a meaning to it. What'd you say? Caustic what?
Caustic cup effect. So you haven't heard of it yet. So anyway, the point is you have to explain it in a way that you see. It's a paradox to me, right?
So we posted the GIF earlier. I assume like that's what you're talking about. New Perspective posted it at 2:34 a minute ago in the live stream one chat. That's what you're saying?
The point is you either have to have a figure eight or be antipodal.
Yeah, it is a figure eight motion of the sun.
I get it, but the data doesn't suggest that, though.
Why not?
Well, the angles of the sun don't do that. Unless you can see the sun being the black spot, not being in the same spot every time you step in and outside of the circle. You know the black spot on the sun?
I don't think I do. Let's see. Hold on.
So it's going to be in opposite positions, right?
Is that something? All right. Sorry, no. Okay, I see what you're saying. I thought sunspots were like more than one. You're saying there's one permanent black spot on the sun that stays. It's like a moon phase almost. How does it work?
Didn't say that. Just look at the position from inside the circle and outside the circle. Or take a look at the moon from inside the circle and outside the circle.
I think I would need a visual representation. I'm not following it, but just based on your words. So there's a sunspot, and you're saying once you get on like either side of the equator, it would behave in a certain way that's not apparent.
It should be in opposition to it, right? You see if the black spot on the sun is going in one way, you can zoom in, you can see it go around you in one way. And if you step outside of the circle, if you're upside down and antipodal, it should be reverse, right? Or it should be just going the same position, but just in the opposite direction.
I would have to like think about this for a while. Hold on.
I'll just tell you again, black spot on the sun. If it's going in the north one direction, and then you go outside of the circle and it's upside down, well, then you would have to be antipodal. But if you step outside of the circle, it should be going in the same direction.
Can you do this same thing with the moon as well?
But the reality.
So you're just sort of sparking off questions into the cosmos.
Well, that's why you're here, isn't it?
Trying to trigger questions. Isn't
that why you're here? You're trying to figure things out too.
I mean, sure, but
wait, people come here to figure things out?
Well, the observe and report is fine.
Well,
because I haven't heard anyone figure anything out.
Yeah, just get more questions. What are you talking about? There ain't no conclusion.
Exactly. You become stupider.
That's what we're selling. We're selling questions over here. We're not selling answers. Don't expect that of us. Okay.
Well, the more you learn, right? Don't you become like you just become dumb? The more you learn, that's just a side effect.
All right, with the sunspot thing, you're inside the circle. You walk out. The sunspot's still in the same spot. What's the problem with this? I'm still trying to understand what you're arguing.
Yeah, are you assuming the sun is like a ball, like a sphere that has to have two sides to it?
I'm just suggesting that if the way I look on a plane system, which is the position of the black spot on the sun when I look at it, and let's say I'm in the north, and then I go to the south and I look at it, the black spot should be in two places. One, if I'm on a plane,
they're inverted in the north.
So that would be the biggest paradox, because you would have to be antipodal for that to happen.
The sun would have to be.
I'm pretty sure you're just looking at it from an
That's very true. That is very true as well, as the sun would have to be. But if that was true, if it would remain in the same spot, let's say, but you would just be outside of the circle. And the thing that it is antipodal lends to the idea that you are antipodal to it. But yeah, so that's the issue. That's the conundrum that I see, or the paradox.
Now, if the sun is just nothing more than a reflection, is there actually a paradox?
Well, the sun is always classified as an illusion, right? Due to optics and perspective. Your local position, your local position and your spatial relationship to it increases depending on your stature. So the higher you go, the more you see, the longer the distance, the longer the sunrise.
Yes, so in essence, it's just a reflection.
I can't suggest if it's a reflection. I know that it's classified as an illusion.
Well, aren't reflections like a basis of an illusion?
Well, if you look at the concept of vision and the spatial relationship, objects don't actually change.
An illusion. It's illusionary.
Objects don't actually. I know, but objects don't actually change in size, right? It's just your spatial relations to your stature.
Okay.
I don't understand your motive, brother.
It's about actually focusing on the sky as a resolution for the problem.
I don't understand your motive. You have to explain your motive and your reason, right?
Because the sky is illusory. it basically has
You're
no
here,
substance
right?
to it.
You're here, though, right? You're here in this
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
You feel motivated to express yourself in a manner
Don't
to
fixate on the
convince.
sky then.
Listen,
There's other
bro.
things
You,
to
you,
focus
you,
on.
you listen to your motive here. This is who you are as an individual, which doesn't make sense, right? You're motivated to come here. You're motivated to come here and try to discourage the concept of looking at the sky. It just doesn't seem the motive. Listen, the motive the motive that you have doesn't make any sense, man. I don't understand. I'm here to write actually stories about situations like this. You know,
no logic is going to solve that paradox that you're putting forth. Okay,
it has nothing to do with me
What is
solving
the paradox?
anything.
What's the paradox? Of just having two poles? That's like what
no. Like, the nature of the sky as it truly must be.
The whole point of being interested in things is just talking about things in general, right? And obviously, I'm not motivated to convince you to believe either thing or to stop doing anything, but you're interested in doing that for me, which seems highly suspicious, guy.
Okay, well, that's an accusation, but you're welcome to it.
Well, you're displaying the behavior, you know, it's just obvious.
No, I just like you seem to be saying it's a paradox, and if like a true attribution of that which is a paradox, I mean, once you accuse it of
Do you
that,
feel it's do you feel it's something? Do you feel something spinning? Do you feel something spinning? Do you experience it? And do you experience the planar system?
That's a more obtuse question, but yeah, I suppose so.
Sure. Is the claim that the Earth is moving at a velocity to cause objects to accelerate with no acting force upon them, and as they actually accelerate on Earth, you can change the weight of them and the impact of them the longer the distance?
Like meteorites hit the Earth? What are you talking about? No, like as far as I'm concerned,
the force of energy. The force of energy that the force. Okay,
is that the answer that you seek?
That's not the answer I'm seeking. I'm just looking for what your motive for is here, right? Because you're trying to convince me not to look at the stars. I don't get it.
I'm not saying not to look at the stars, but you infer that it's a paradox. I agree. You know, the sky is a wonder. Okay.
No. Listen. I just asked you. Do you feel the Earth spinning? I just asked you.
It's potentially a fool's errand because you're cast into this sort of spiritual being to deal with.
Did you claim that you don't feel the Earth moving, right? And there's no observable. It's a planar system that you have in your daily life, right?
Yeah.
But yet, there's eight.
Sure.
There's at least 8 motions the Earth goes through every year. Maybe off with that.
Like the sky is just moving. It's not the Earth moving.
But I'm just saying, if that's the reality described in mathematics and in geometry and models, it has to be that in itself is a paradox because it's not what you experience, but that's the model that you're supposed to be experiencing. But there's all these attributes to this particular model, and the reason why you can't feel them is because of all these characteristics of those attributes.
I lost you at that end point.
So, if you have attributes like the Earth has certain size, dimensions, patterns, motions, there's going to be characteristics about those attributes like gravity, quantum mechanics, space-time, speed of light, Lorentz equation.
Wait, light has a speed?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it has a variable, an invariant variable.
Well, it at least has a round trip speed.
It has something within our...
Where?
It has our systems to detect. I've seen a guy do a test with one straight line, shooting a photon. And it's funny because it's our instruments between 2 points, right? When now that there's actually something faster than speed of light.
I mean, can anyone even show me light?
Close your eyes.
Great question. Can you show someone light?
Yeah, show me a light.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
Well, then I'm just seeing the back of my eyelids.
I don't know. If you lay on your back, close your eyes. I guarantee you, give yourself 10, 20 minutes, you'll start to see light. And even
If
though
you
it's
breathe in
completely
really hard, you start seeing sparkles. What's that got to do with reality, though?
No, don't do the sparkles. Just sit
You don't want
there
to do
and
the
watch.
You can do the sparkles, dude. You stand up really quickly when you're a little bit tired. You'll see the
You don't
sparkles.
need to do that. You don't need to do that. You just lay on your back, do some nice breathing, right? You do some calm breathing, and you wait for all the colors to come. All the light, it's already there. Go take a look.
Yeah, but how can I run experiments on that?
I hope
Well, you have to probably line up. You probably have to line up 10 individuals and get them to in some sort of state of relaxation, and try to suggest how to get to this visualization stage where your eyelids are closed and you start to see color and you take nice breaths. You don't have to hyperventilate and see fucking sparkles.
So basically, all the results will be subjective because it's based on what they're seeing.
He wanted to test the claim of the suggested claim that I suggested happened. So in order to do that, you probably need more maybe than 10. But
how many claims are inside of that claim? Like how many? Like you got a Russian roll set of claims going on here. What are you talking about?
Too funny.
I don't go out and search.
Oh
Here
my
comes
gosh.
Xanax.
This
boy.
this
Newton's
Newton's
Xanax,
plank.
like the old days.
What do you think you're talking about when you're talking about Newton's plank and you started talking about? Did I hear you correctly? Sticks in eyes.
Panic. Like tell us
I didn't
this
say
guy
that.
straightened out. Okay, he needs to be a Glober. He's on your side. Okay, you got to convince him. Yeah, I'm convinced he's yeah. He
He's
accused me
trolling.
of being an agent earlier, so here we go.
Well, that's
Wait,
exactly
you're not
what
an
it is.
agent?
He's an agent.
I
He's
don't
a
think so.
flat Earth agent.
It's up to
Come
you guys to work it
on.
out.
Motivation to get somebody to stop talking about something is just ridiculous.
He's a flat Earth agent. I can see that.
Yeah, I got an agenda apparently.
Well,
I mean, he's
don't know what
Australian.
I don't know what you got.
Australia's fake.
He's Australian. Just being Australian now is guilty enough. Apparently, the prejudice.
Just go to Perth. 0 degrees.
Perth.
So
What is
that's well. There's no need for magnetic declination change.
What, the compass points north in Perth?
I'm just trying to tell you that there is no magnetic declination in Perth. It's next to 0. Some maps are 0.
I suppose that could be interesting if you're thinking about the dual pole model. I appreciate that. Cool. I'll think about it.
The magnetic declinations are relevant to the dual model if you're just using astrolabe. I still, and then you moved into the fucking sunspot thing. I'm trying to like understand the geometry of how that would debunk the dual pole, and I'm still not quite comprehending it. Like
I'm not trying to debunk anything. Number one. Number two, I'm just giving you a situation where the paradox is that if you are on a plane and there's 2 circles and you can move inside the north circle and then move outside of the north and south, you would see it go in the same direction because you're on a plane. The black spot would be in the same position, but because it appears antipodal, you have a paradox because that's not what happens in.
Floating ideas very aggressively is essentially what's going on.
I need to understand like how that black spot behaves. I don't even know. You're just saying black spot exists. Like so when you're looking from the south pole of the sun, is the black spot in the exact same spot as if you're in the north pole and you're looking at the sun? I don't know if that's true or not. What are your?
It's true. It's true. It's true that it's antipodal, though, right?
I don't know how the black spot behaves.
Yes, it's inverted, just like the moon is. When you see the moon from the north looking south or the south looking north, the moon is inverted 180 because you're looking at it from the other side of the triangle. It's the same with the sunspots.
Like why is this important?
Well, I mean, the globe model tries to say you're upside down on the other side of a ball. I don't know if Data's trying to say that or not, but he's saying antipodal.
Very cryptic.
Yeah, it's cryptic.
Yeah, it works on the globe model.
It does, actually. Correct. I think it also works on the AE.
Matthew, are you a globe patriot? Are you patriotic for your globe?
I like how the globe explains these things well.
Have you got a flag?
So
I just get this vibe
The
from you
globe
that you're
flag.
like, yeah, you're hoisting up the flag, the globe flag.
by pointing out that it works on the globe.
Well, it doesn't because you have a 93 million mile away massive sun. But that one thing of the sunspots, it would work on either planar or technically it would, because you're looking at the celestial sphere from two perspectives. So
But
yeah,
you need
that
the
would,
upside down.
Here's what I found
I've
an
watched
interesting.
Stranger Things, and you should not go into the upside down if you watch Stranger Things. Okay, Australia is definitely not upside down. I'm not in
Here's
that
the
dark
thing.
place.
Here's the thing with Perth, you got to check. So in December 21st and after, you should be around 23.4 degrees latitude, right? Past the south, past the equator, right? The issue with the globe model is if you're in Perth, the sunrise has to come in at 120 degrees south, southeast. Now, if you were on a sphere, you have the Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic of Cancer. And Tropic of Capricorn is the one that's down by Australia, which is 23, which is basically the subsolar point of the sun, the mean sun, which is the mathematical sun, not the actual sun, right? But it follows that path. And it would have to
but
come
you see
in.
it south of that.
What's that?
But you see it south of that, south of east.
Well, if you think about it, if it's rising, if it's tilted that degree at 23.4, that the shadow is going to come in almost because it's down at Perth, right? So the shadow is not going. It's almost going to come in just like maybe just a little bit over 90 degrees to in the model. So if you put a gnome in, okay, taking model the globe. This is how you just prove the globe model incorrect. There's other things you can do with time zones and stuff, putting gnomons all over this globe, right? And if you had to these subsolar points, you could see that the gnomons and the casting of the shadows would be incorrect unless you lined them up on a plane. And so you would have discrepancies on a sphere. In other words, as it rotated, the time zones wouldn't be correct because the shadows would be different at the same time because they're going at the same time, but the shadows wouldn't tell the same time.
So,
between these two.
You've exemplified Perth as being kind of, a portion of the Earth you can make this observation. I just went and looked at the map. That line of Perth draws right up through Indonesia and then through China as well. Would you say that you can make these similar observations there, or is there something unique to Perth that you're referring to?
I don't know. I just did the test in Perth due to the fact that in the south, when it was past December 21st, that according to the map, if you cast the shadow based on that subsolar point, which means you kept that hot sun, if you will, in the model demonstration along that thing, and you had a gnomon at Perth on the model, your shadow angle wouldn't come in at the degree that matches reality. So the real data of the 120 degree southeast sunrise doesn't match the globe model, classroom model, if you will. the
I
shadows
actually
and
find that kind of interesting. I'm about to upload a photo. It's rather curious that if you draw a line up through Perth, you go through China and then up through Russia as well.
Just get my book, dude. It's online. It shows you how to do it.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, the sales pitch finally. I appreciate it though, man. Yeah. Cheers for the direction.
What's your motivation in trying to get me to stop talking about? I don't know. I just find that weird. I don't very much show up. So
I uploaded the photo. Just drew a line on the map. You can see where it sort of casts through.
anyway, check it out. Reality
it's kind of
sometimes.
interesting that it goes through northern Russia, like all that Siberian section, like these plains that are.
What are you talking about? What are you talking
about? I just uploaded the photo.
The FBI has apparently just.
What's the FBI doing? I think it's an interesting proposition that something unique about the sky is happening in Perth. So I was just sort of entertaining that idea. However you want to take it. It's kind of interesting that it's up through China and then Siberian Russia.
Still don't know what that means. Like I'm just saying I'm in Perth doing a shadow angle on a model. How do you get all of that out of that?
Because presumably there's something unique to the latitudinal value about Perth that is telling you something. So I sometimes wonder, like, if I can cast that line up through, if that's the unique aspect that you think something curious is happening, then presumably you might be able to find something on that line that is common with your observation.
What do you mean common and with my observation? Like I'm just taking a model, a globe model, a classroom model, and I'm putting a gnomon at Perth, and I'm making sure that the subsolar point is located at 23 point, the Tropic of Capricorn, because that's essentially what the model represents. It's happening, right? So it doesn't matter if I take a large object and move it far away, or a close object and put it up front. The effect is going to be still the same with a radius value and a circumference value, right? That's consistent.
What's the deviation in your opinion from what you've observed?
Well, it's not 120 degrees. It's closer to 90 degrees as it comes in.
So you're 30 degrees off? Is that the differentiation? That's what I requested.
Funny enough, it's if you tilt the Earth around 34 to 34 degrees, so another basically 10 degrees, if you will. But if you do that,
33? Did we find a 33 in here somewhere? Let's go.
Yeah, believe it or not, it's a 33 to 34 degrees. So if you take it,
that's cool.
If you got a globe model at home, and you put a gnomon at Perth, and you align it at its 23.5 degree axis, and you make sure you put a sun object in the room, and you make sure it's at its subsolar point, 23 point, the Tropic of Capricorn, which is the southern body is tilted upwards towards the sun, if you will, or the object in the room, light in the room. And then if you measure that shadow angle, it's going to be closer to 90 degrees as opposing to when you tilt it to around 33 to 34 degrees, you get 120 degree, which is reality. So which means the Earth has to be. It's just an interesting thing that the model doesn't represent reality that reality suggests.
So are you in Perth right now, Data?
No.
Okay. Just checking.
Why did Zanuck go away again? Stop talking.
Listen to you guys. It's
Too
just
much
listen to the confusion. It's very entertaining.
That's too funny.
confusion.
Sonic looks.
John, it's almost like you're not really
Sonic looks.
thinking. It's almost like you're not even really thinking about your problems.
Sonic likes.
Tell us about your confusion, Zanuck. Go ahead.
He likes confusion.
Conflations,
I like listening to it.
misorientations, illusions, all that stuff. Tell us.
It's interesting.
I call him Agent Z now.
Do you know where up is, Zanuck? Can you tell me where up is?
It's opposite of down.
You got a problem, bro. You got too many downs. Downs
up,
all over the place.
up is not opposite of down.
Yeah, globe causes downs. Too many downs. That's what.
Can you ever drop anything?
Symptomology of the globe. If you contract globe, you end up with so many downs. It's not funny. Okay.
Here's the funny thing, Zanuck. I could never figure out how I would start at one end of the earth and dig all the way through the center and come out. My feet would be at the bottom coming up, and people would be standing above me.
Yes. If you could conceptually do that in your imagination, dig with little cutters on your feet. It would come up your feet. They're pulling you out by your feet.
Okay.
Out of the hole by your feet. Yeah. Of course, you can't.
How do the vegetables know how to grow up in your world, Zanuck? Like, how do they know? How do the vegetables do it?
Gravity or refraction? Pick a coin.
I'm not talking about brain dead people. I'm just asking, like, how do the vegetables know to grow up? They just they gotta. I've heard that there's such a thing.
Well,
as
they probably go where
got a gyroscope internal to the cell. It's like a gravity mechanism.
They probably go where the oxygen is. So I'd imagine because they're oxygen sensitive, they probably grow to wherever they sense oxygen.
And the sun. The majority of plants need the sun.
They would need the sun to convert that energy, but primarily they would be oxygen driven. So the more
don't use the sun.
No, they're CO2. They are CO2.
Mushrooms don't use the sun, dude.
They're not oxygen driven.
There's
another
No, they're not oxygen driven.
CO2 driven. They're CO2
Exactly.
driven.
No.
Well, pardon me. The conversion of oxygen driven is what I mean. Is they eventually produce oxygen through the consumption of carbon. So get out of here, buttheads.
They produce oxygen from carbon, really?
They turn carbon into oxygen, buddy. So stop that.
No, they don't actually. They don't turn carbon into oxygen.